Hi, my name is Jen, and I am the co-owner of the Formidable Genealogist research company, here today with a dose of Formidable Genealogy. Today I'm going to talk about my absolute favorite records in existence, Civil War pension records. Many people think it just contains dates and boring military forms, but there is a wealth of information that you can learn about your family in these. I hope that this video inspires you to seek out more information about your Civil War soldiers and your family. Let me share my screen. This is Gardner Richard Hickok. He was born in 1834 in New York State, and almost immediately his family began traveling west with siblings born in Ohio, Illinois, Wisconsin, and finally settling in Dubuque, Iowa by the mid-1850s, having traveled at least 1,300 miles. By 1857, he married an Irish immigrant named Mary Thompson. Gardner will be my first example of what you can find in a Civil War pension record. First, a little bit about Civil War pension records. They can only be ordered through the National Archives and have rather a steep price of $80 to $100, depending on the size of the file. Before the pandemic, you could expect to receive your order 1 to 3 months after placing it. The wait times are considerably longer right now. I ordered one at the beginning of August 2021 and still have not received it nearly 9 months later. I've ordered at least 10 of these records for myself and for clients, and each and every one has been worth the cost and the wait. Sometimes they contain affidavits of family and friends who clearly state the relationship to the soldier, which can help you find your soldier's parents and siblings. Sometimes they contain copies of family Bibles, marriage certificates, and very detailed information about medical conditions and battle experiences. They can range in size from 50 pages to 200 pages or more. After I share some examples of records, I'll walk you through how to request one from the National Archives. Gardner Hickok is one of the first pension records I'd ever ordered. It's a total of 55 pages long. I was amazed that even such a short term of service of 100 days could generate such a large pension record. Right away on page 1, it shows very helpful information for plotting your ancestors' timeline, their enlistment, discharge, and application file dates. Such exact dates can really help your research, especially when you're dealing with an unknown death date and the lack of an 1890 US federal census. Though the records in the packet aren't in chronological order, they're full of filing dates and a wealth of medical information that can help you understand the day-to-day lives of your ancestor, especially in their ailing years. This page shows that at the time of Gardner's death, he was on an invalid pension with a higher pay than a non-invalid pension at $15 per month, and shows the date of his final payment before his death. One of my favorite parts of these records are the applications filled out in their own hand. I like seeing glimpses into their personality and speech patterns, such as when Gardner answers the question if he was previously married. Instead of answering simply no, he said was never married but the once. My next examples stem from the pension record of Matthias Schaefer. Matthias was born in Prussia around 1827, arriving in Indiana around 1850, and marrying Margaret Baker in 1861. She bore him 2 sets of twins and then ended up dying when he was away at the Civil War. His pension record is 46 pages long. Many of the pages are affidavits helping his second wife, Catherine, obtain her widow's pension after his death in 1881 in Iowa. Part of the legwork in approving her widow's pension was tracking down the physician who attended Matthias's first wife at her death nearly 20 years prior. Given how early she died, there were no formal records of her death, but this pension record shows the attending physician claimed she died in November 1864. Catherine was still fighting to receive the pension 6 years after her husband died. She was finally awarded $12 per month in 1887. She died in 1909. You will frequently find transcripts of marriage certificates in these files. This is an official transcript from Matthias and Catherine's wedding in 1866 in Rochester, Minnesota, provided specifically for the widow's pension. Researching the names of the witnesses can often aid your research when you discover that this person is a sibling or cousin, or perhaps from the same tiny village in Prussia as your ancestor. Ambrose Winchester Kelly was born in Montgomery, Illinois in 1843. His Civil War pension record comes in at a whopping 111 pages, containing the soldier's pension and widow's pension records. Ambrose died in 1922 in Iola, Kansas, and his widow, Amanda Gregory Kelly, lived until 1936. Ambrose's record includes so many pages written in his own hand recounting details of his life. In 1915, he listed all of his children, living or dead, and their full birth dates. His 4 daughters are even listed with their married surnames. It's so exciting to find something as complete as that. It also includes his 1864 discharge papers showing his exact enlistment and discharge dates and a description of his physical appearance. There's also a note written by Ambrose in 1885 describing his efforts to contact his doctors to provide proof of his physical ailments from 20 years earlier. There was a lot of legwork involved for these veterans to prove their disabilities and the timeline of them. He writes from Moline, Kansas. Dear Sir, in regard to furnishing the evidence of Dr. Allen and Campbell, I do not know where they are. I have wrote, but yet no word from them. I think Dr. Campbell is dead. As for Dr. Hobson, he was not an eye doctor, but treated me for other diseases, and I think some little for the eyes. I have already sent in 1 certificate from him. His widow, Amanda, ended up getting a pension of $30 per month in 1922. One thing I really like about these more recent records is that they often contain modern addresses that you can look up to see Google Street View images where your family lived. This declaration for Amanda's widow's pension includes her address as 821 East Broadway in Iola, Kansas, along with her dates and locations for her birth, their marriage, and his death. This record also includes some of the most complete information I've seen for proving a soldier's birth and family. Ambrose has written several letters that are included trying to substantiate his claims for his birth date. Since he was born in 1843, there was no formal record of his birth beyond the family Bible, which he stated was burned in a fire at his parents' home in the 1800s. In this letter, he lists no less than 7 major clues that can dramatically help your research. He lists his exact birth date, exact location of a farm near Hillsborough, Illinois, the fact that he lived at the same farm from his parents until the Civil War in 1862, the names of his parents and their approximate death date of 20 years earlier, that he has 3 brothers and 1 sister still living at Irving, Illinois, as of 1914 when he wrote this letter, and the name of his oldest brother, who is about 80 years old. He also indicates that he's in poor health by stating that he'd like the money rushed through, as he very much needs it and doesn't think he will be around long to receive much of it. He did go on to live another 8 years after this. Our next soldier is Thomas Wayman White, born around 1829 in Preston County, West Virginia. His Civil War pension record was the key to solving a massive brick wall in our research. As often happens, there was significant record loss when the courthouse at Preston County burned in 1869, leaving us no hope for information about Thomas's early life. The pension record offered up several widow's statements with an exact marriage date and birth date, location, pastor's name at their wedding, maiden name, and even a statement from the widow's brother verifying her relationship to her parents. There was an amazing find within this record of the original family Bible pages listing his children. This helped sort out his children from the other Thomas White's children in the area, really solidifying the right family for additional research. John D. Chance is a soldier with a very interesting 106-page pension record. John was born in Pennsylvania around 1835, went west on his own at a young age, and married Christiana Way in 1855 in Ohio. Poor John died in 1875 at the age of 40, before he had even completed his application for his own pension. After his death, Christiana submitted to receive her widow's pension, and this letter of instruction was included in the packet. It gives her a list of proof that she will need to provide through attorneys and witnesses. The most interesting part falls under item 2. It says that he died under the influence of ether, administered to him under protest for the purpose of extracting teeth. There are later testimonies from the doctor stating that he refused to give him ether, but that John and his wife both persisted and that he administered 5 drams on a handkerchief, and he was dead within 10 minutes. The pension office ended up denying the original widow's claim based on the testimony of the doctor. Christiana purported the death to be caused by lung and heart weakness due to injuries from battle, but the pension office stated the claimant cannot be permitted to profit by the culpable act which she and her husband compassed his death. By no reasonable construction can this soldier's death be charged to any cause of service origin. This record also contains great detail about his time as a soldier in the Civil War. It lists that he was engaged in battle in 1862 at Antietam, Maryland, and received multiple injuries that resulted in lung disease after falling from the ammunition cart. John was involved in the deadliest one-day battle in American history. It is estimated that 132,000 soldiers were engaged and that there were nearly 23,000 casualties. It's after this battle that Lincoln delivers his Emancipation Proclamation. John Chance was sent home for sick leave in 1862 and spent 6 months in a hospital. He was recalled to his unit despite not being in good enough physical shape to return. He had to be carried to the train by family, traveled a great distance to rejoin his unit, and was then sent back home for being unfit for duty. In 1879, Christiana again submitted an 8-page document trying to prove how her husband's death was directly related to his injuries suffered in Antietam, but it was rejected and closed. Christiana was finally awarded her widow's pension in 1890 at $8 per month. The Act of 1890 allowed Civil War widows to collect a pension even if the death was not deemed to be the fault of military service. She had continued to appeal the original decision throughout the 1880s as well. Our final pension example belongs to William Clark Goodwin, born in New York in 1837. His pension record was 111 pages long. One of the first pages in his pension record is his 1897 general application in his own hand, with great detail about his first wife, her death, and his second wife. It also lists his children with detailed birth dates. William's pension record also has an elaborate testimony from 1898 from his brother Daniel Goodwin, explaining the health issues that his brother faced during their time together in the war. Daniel says, "At this time, an accident left him exposed overnight in a chilly hail and windstorm, lying on the bare ground in a pool of water without tent or blankets, where I, with a Commander Clark, found him the next morning nearly dead. He delighted in hard service in dangerous places and was at the head of his company in all the fighting that led to Appomattox, by way of Petersburg and Five Forks, when Grant had no time to eat. He also said that he marched by his side every day and slept under the same blanket." A declaration for an increased payment of $24 per month for an invalid pension from 1912 is also included. William was 74 that year. It goes into great detail explaining his current health. He is unable to walk about, totally blind, partially paralyzed, and bedridden. He is nearly deaf and is requesting a home medical examination in an effort to obtain this pension increase. When determining if it's worthwhile to order a Civil War pension record, it's helpful to know the timeline of pension eligibility so you know what to expect as it pertains to your soldier. In 1862, a soldier was eligible if he could show he was disabled due to his service. Dependents of soldiers killed in duty were also eligible. In 1879, the Arrears Act provided veterans lump sum payment back to their discharge date if disabled during service. In 1887, a veteran was eligible if he could show he was unable to perform manual labor. In 1890, disabled veterans were eligible even if their disability was not caused by service. Widows were eligible regardless of the cause of their husband's death, but must not have remarried. In 1901, a widow was eligible even if she had remarried, but must be again widowed. In 1907, old age was considered a disability. In 2020 occurred the death of the last Civil War pension recipient. She was an adult child of a veteran born when he was 84 years of age. Now I'll walk you through how to order a record from the National Archives site. When considering ordering a record, the first thing you'll need to do is confirm that you do indeed have a Civil War soldier or widow who may have a pension record in the archives. There are a wealth of related records available on Ancestry.com and Family Search to do this. Gardner Hickok had 5 different indexed records on Ancestry.com indicating his service in Iowa's 46th Infantry for a period of 100 days in 1864. The most important record to try to find is the General Index to the Civil War pension files for your soldier. It contains information that you'll need on your record request form that will speed up the process and ensure accuracy with soldiers who had more common names. The National Park Service website has a place for you to search for Civil War soldiers, which will also pull up their battle unit name and a link that explains the battles they were involved in, along with a listing of other soldiers in the unit. You can often find neighbors and other relatives within the ranks. Now that you have your information and are ready to submit an application for your record, go to the archives.gov page for pre-World War I records and click Order Online under Military Pension Bounty Land Warrant Applications. This will take you to the National Archives e-Services page. NATF 85D is the pension record that I've been discussing today. Choose your delivery format and then add to cart. On the next screen, you will enter as much information as you can to aid them in their search for the original record. If they are unsuccessful in their search for the record, you will not be charged. They will bill your credit card when an order is fulfilled and sent to you. If a record has more than 100 pages, they may notify you and charge a small amount more for the remaining documents. After you've submitted, you will be able to view the status of your order through your login on the e-Services site. Unfortunately, the site is often down and can be slow and unresponsive. If you wish to skip their online application, you can submit a paper one as well. The form is located on their site. I hope you're inspired to order one of these records for a soldier in your family line. As genealogists, we're always searching for more information to flesh out someone's life and make them more human, instead of just dates and locations. These records are the most humanizing and thought-provoking records I've come across. There are so many details, and each Civil War pension record I've read has been wildly different from the last. The Formidable Genealogist is a small family history research company consisting of 2 passionate and tenacious genealogists in the Midwest. We strongly believe in affordable genealogy services. In addition to research, we can also help people find their biological family through DNA, scan and digitally repair photos, slides, negatives, and documents, and create personalized family tree artwork based off of 30 or more templates on our website. Happy searching!